Russia has warned Britain that it will face consequences for supplying Ukraine with drones reportedly used to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. But how far could Moscow go? And could an attack on the UK trigger a wider confrontation with NATO? The Russian embassy in London accused Britain of escalating the war and acting as a co-participant in Ukrainian attacks.
Это означает только одно. Президент предупреждал о наших правах действовать в любом районе Мирового океана, если кто-то будет посягать на наши интересы, на нашу собственность. Мы точно так же имеем право рассматривать гордо объявленное прямое участие британских ракетных войск в ударах по Российской Федерации в качестве участия в войне со всеми вытекающими последствиями.
It did not specify what the threatened consequences might involve, but former Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Fedorov raised the possibility of direct attacks. He told the BBC that some military advisors in Moscow believed Russia could strike British targets without provoking a forceful NATO response. That is his assessment, rather than an announced policy from the Kremlin. The warning follows a series of large Ukrainian drone attacks inside Russia. Moscow's mayor said at least 637 drones were launched towards the Russian capital between Monday night and Tuesday morning. Russian air defenses reportedly intercepted 197 of them. Days earlier, Ukraine launched what Russian authorities described as one of the largest aerial attacks of the war, involving 822 drones. 7 people were reportedly killed. Ukraine has increasingly targeted Russian oil refineries, weapons facilities, and logistics networks. Kiev says these attacks are intended to weaken Russia's military supply chains and reduce the oil revenue financing its invasion. An investigation by Britain's Times newspaper found that drones produced by 2 British companies had been used in some long-range attacks. Russia also claims that drones containing British components or configurations struck military and industrial sites, including the Kamensky plant. Britain's defense ministry has not confirmed that UK-made drones were used inside Russia, but London's military support for Ukraine is extensive. In April, Britain announced deliveries of at least 120,000 drones, including long-range strike, surveillance, logistics, and maritime systems. A further package announced in June includes 150,000 drones to be delivered by the end of 2026. Britain and Ukraine have also agreed to jointly produce long-range drones.
This is the UK doing what it has long said it would do, which is to support Ukraine 100% against this illegal war led by Vladimir Putin. We are providing support so that Ukraine can defend itself, and that's been the British position all the way through this conflict.
The UK was the first country to promise Ukraine modern Western tanks and among the first to provide long-range Storm Shadow missiles. It has also supplied air defense systems, artillery, armored vehicles, and military training. British Prime Minister Andy Burnham says that support will continue despite Moscow's warning. Russia could respond through cyber attacks, sabotage, or strikes against British military and intelligence interests outside the UK. A direct attack on British territory would carry far greater risks. Britain is a member of NATO. Under Article 5 of the Alliance's founding treaty, an armed attack against one member can be treated as an attack against all. But a collective military response is not automatic. Each member decides what action it considers necessary. NATO could initially use Article 4, which allows members to hold consultations when one country believes its security is under threat. Fedorov claims some officials in Moscow believe Donald Trump would prevent NATO from responding militarily. There is no confirmation that the Kremlin has decided to test that assumption. For now, Russia's warning remains deliberately vague, but as British-supported weapons reach deeper into Russian territory, the boundary between supplying Ukraine and becoming directly involved in the war is facing renewed scrutiny.